The best way to protect your family and your finances through a divorce are through planning. You need to sit back before this all gets engaged and plan how things are going to go. You need to take stock of what you've got and what you want to see happen with it. If you've got significant assets, you need to be thinking about having accounts frozen, being sure that you've got financial statements in place so you know what was there. You've got to think about where do you want these funds to go when we get on the other side of divorce? So to get through all that financially really takes a lot of financial planning. And if you need any help with that, you should reach out to an attorney familiar with divorce. You might reach out to a financial planner. You might reach out to a divorce financial planner. You might even just need a CPA, but you should be thinking about the money ahead of time before you enter the divorce to make sure that the money winds up on the other side of the divorce in the best way possible. And by that, we mean intact and still there to be divided. Protecting your family, well, we are divorcing and we are splitting up the band, and so to speak. And so how's that going to play out? Well, again, that's a planning issue. You need to be thinking about these things ahead. Where are people going to be living? How are social lives going to be readjusted? How's everybody going to wind up? And what's the best, smoothest way to wind up there? And so to protect that interest, I suggest you sit back and spend a lot of time and thought on how these things are going to wind up, and don't just go through a divorce haphazardly and let the chips fall where they may. Clear communication is so critical to get through a divorce successfully. First of all, you've got to be in clear communication with the professionals you've selected. If you hire an attorney, if you hire a financial planner, if you hire anybody to help you through the process of the divorce, you've got to open up with them and you have to tell them everything that's going on. You have to tell them about the things that you want them to pursue. You have to tell them about any possible incoming problems so they can shield you from those. You've got to have clear communication with your professional support team. And then people don't talk about this much, but you really need to have a way to clearly communicate with your spouse through the divorce. And I don't mean sharing your play strategy. You and your attorney talk about that alone. You don't want to share that with your spouse. But you've got to come up with some things that you can clearly communicate and discuss as it's going along. Because here's what happens in a divorce if you shut off your spouse and quit communicating completely. They're going to draw their own opinions of what's going on. And that might be good for the divorce, but it's probably going to be bad. Most people, when they're left in an information vacuum, assume the worst, and then that is just going to increase the ante. It's going to make things hotter and harder to get through in the divorce. Tempers are going to flare. Problems are going to rise where there probably didn't need to be any. So what can you talk about with your spouse? Well, just the basic day-to-day living. And for more specifics, talk to your attorney about it and get some ideas on what you can talk to your spouse about. But it's very important if you want to get through a divorce as quickly and pain-free as possible, you've got to open up your lines of communications with the right people. There's a number of strategies that can help reduce conflict in divorce and ease tensions and move things along faster. For instance, as attorneys at our firm, we try to, when we file our initial pleadings in the divorce lawsuit, we try to keep the pleadings down to a bare minimum. If all we're going to end up getting in the end is a divorce and split everything equitably, why do we need to go put a whole bunch of teeth into a pleading when that's just going to inflame the other side? Communications is another area. If we're handling your divorce, one of the first things we're going to do is pick up the phone and call the other firm so that we can get an open line of communication so that both sides are working towards the same goal together. Proper communication with your spouse is another avenue to reduce tensions in a divorce. Talk to your attorney and get ideas on the things that are okay to say and things you should stay away from, and just keep those conversations open and moving forward and get that divorce calmly moving forward instead of inflaming issues and making things worse. So if you're going to get help from an attorney with your divorce, you want someone who's going to advocate for you, someone who's going to listen to you, someone who's going to hear your concerns, listen to the whole fact pattern, and then apply the correct law and push forward with what you want. And a great attorney is going to be able to do all that and be your best advocate in that courtroom or at that mediation or at that settlement conference. You need a good advocate who listens to you, weighs it against the law, and moves the case forward in the right direction. If you have any questions about navigating your divorce with confidence, clarity, and care, we're used to that here at the Von Dohlen Law Firm. We'll help you. Give us a call for a free case evaluation.